All right, so this is sports directing, and really important for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of responsibilities with it, and I'm not going to waste a lot of time. Let's just get through it. Big line quote here from Bob Shanks. Uh, Excellent, excellent quote. I recommend reading it. What does a sports director do? They are responsible for the look and the sound of a production and its technical standards. Very important. They work closely with producers, enhancing and refining ideas to a finished program. The job of the director is to tell the story to the audience through the direction of the producer. Pretty obvious. The producer's in charge. The director is doing the work. The best analogy I could give you is a king and a king's general. The king is the producer. The general is the director. The king gives the general the orders to go out for battle, and if the general directs the troops through battle, much the same way the director directs the troops through the camera operators, the replay operators, through the show. Definitely build viewers' excitement about the event. If you're not trying to keep people excited about watching it, you're not doing your job. You have to have viewers to build excitement to sell products through the sponsors. Educate the audience about the intricacies of the sport, catch the ambience and emotion, communicate with clarity. These are all important. Tell the story that the producer wants told, satisfy sponsor needs with the utmost importance, and in my opinion, treat your crew with respect. A crew that feels respected by their director will go out and give you their best effort every time. Is the director also a producer? Yes. The job of the director is to create television. When it comes to the production, does the director need to know everything the producer knows? Of course, absolutely. Preparing to direct sports. Know the rules of the sport. Know the participants. Know the venue. If you don't know that there are how many outs in an inning? 6 outs in an inning. There's 3 outs in half an inning. If you don't know that, you shouldn't be directing sports. So you need to know the rules. Anticipate what shots you will need based on what the rules are and what a ruling could be. The best example I can give of this is in baseball. There's a runner on first. There's 1 out. A ground ball is then hit to the third baseman. Where is the third baseman going to throw it? Second base, double play. If you didn't know that ahead of time, you shouldn't be directing sports. And that's just one example. You should also know the key players, the coaches, the special stories. Know the participants of the game that is happening in front of you. Know the venue, the traditions, the monuments, the history. You should know this stuff. And if you don't know, research before you go to your venue. Build trust. Trust your producer's decisions and trust that all others or crew are doing their best. If you have to call somebody out for being lazy or not giving your best effort, absolutely it's your job to do so. But trust that everybody's giving their best effort. The camera meeting. Run by the director, attended by the camera ops primarily. It can last from 10 minutes to an hour. Basically, it gives the director the chance to convey the nuances of his or her show. What's going to happen today? What's happening at halftime? Where do we need cameras, handheld cameras to be in position? Stuff like that. Framing details, cutting patterns, situational stuff. But when you're directing, a basic rule in sports coverage is to never change from camera to camera when critical action is taking place. Just don't cut cameras to cut cameras. Why? Because if you change camera angles at these critical times, it requires that the audience reestablish their relationship to the game from another angle. It's hard to describe. It's easier to show you. Unfortunately, we can't do that. Of course, don't lose the ball. My God, don't lose the ball. The single most critical production value in sports coverage is the need to know where the ball is at all times. Now, the rules are different for sports that don't have, wrestling, gymnastics, stuff like that. There's no ball to maneuver. Great example of this also, baseball is one of these sports, kind of, because you might have a ball hit to the outfield, but a man is running the bases. What do you cover? Be diligent. Figure out what's most important at that time and anticipate where the ball is going to be thrown or just stay on the ball. Sports coverage is presentational television. It's theater. It's a show. The need of the audience to know the status of the contest, of course, is primary. People usually tune in because their favorite team is playing Are they winning? Are they losing when they tune in? If they're tuning in late, of course. Know the status. Are we in the first half, second half, third quarter, fourth quarter? Presentational television also has to do with things that happen not on the field. Why do people watch the Army-Navy game? I mean, they're not good teams. They're usually not playing for the national championship, at least not in modern times. They don't ever hardly have any top draft picks. So why are people watching Army-Navy? You know, outside of Army and Navy, you probably root for another team. You're not rooting for Army-Navy. You know, it's a game that's watched based on the two teams and the two fan bases doing things not happening between the lines. It's a very traditional, moving, powerful game to watch because they're such big rivals. The Bayou Classic is another presentational television type game because it's not really the game between Grambling and Southern. It's really the halftime battle of the bands. Grambling and Southern aren't Division I schools, but the battle of the bands keeps people coming back year in and year out because the bands are so entertaining. Joe Acidi wrote a lot of rules when it comes to directing. I like these rules. I'm touching on a few of them. This is basically what he says: the cameramen are the eyes of the production. He can only see what the cameras are showing him. Never see where the game is being played. Now, he never goes far beyond the production truck and never ever goes into the stadium itself. He did 16 NFL games a year ago, saw 0 stadiums. Never went inside. And by this I mean on game day. I mean, obviously, any director is going to go in through the walkthrough and make sure they know, where things are happening. But for Joe, he would not go in on game day. My theory is, if I have 8 cameras, I have to look at what they see, not what I see. I see the limits from those cameras in the television truck. The cameramen see the rest, and it works perfectly. Do your homework. He needs to know the game, and he needs to know the delicate details of the game. Joe memorizes the name and number of every player on the field. Not easy. It's important for telling the story and especially for the commentary that accompanies the game. Now, commentary is very important because if the announcers are talking about the quarterback, you should be able to see the quarterback on the screen. Or talking about the left guard or left tackle or the mom in the stands. If you're showing the mom in the stands, you definitely have to do some homework because you have to know where mom is sitting, and you need to know that before the camera meeting so you can tell the camera people, hey, mom's going to be in the stands today. She's in this seat, this section. Find her. Stuff like that. A lot of preparation. You're not just showing up and doing the game. You got to do some homework. Of course, you should not be egotistical. And without getting too deep into this, it's about the show. It's not about you. It's about those who are seen and heard on television and not for your ego. Of course, never look at the program monitor. And by that, you should always keep your eyes on what the cameras are showing you. You should know what's live because you have to trust your technical director that he or she is going to put it up when you ask for it. Because you always have to be thinking 2 moves ahead. There's 2 ways to direct a live show, a good way and a bad way. A good director is 3 shots ahead of schedule if you know what's coming. And by that I mean if the running back makes a good play, what am I going to show? If the wide receiver makes a great catch, if the defense makes a play, what am I going to show? If the home team makes a play, they get a turnover, show the celebration, show the fans in the stands. That's thinking 2 moves ahead. Your camera operators, you convey that to them in the meeting. If this camera, tell this camera or that camera. If the Mountaineers get a turnover, we're going to show the defense, but cameras 6 and 7, I want you to cut to fan shots because fans go crazy during turnovers. That's thinking 2 moves ahead, 3 moves ahead. It's a good example of it. And the biggest thing, don't be afraid to make a mistake. And Joe's tough, but not on a guy for making a mistake. The world is an imperfect place. Screws fall out all the time. Don't do the perfect show. Don't try. Aspire to do a great show. There's no such thing as a perfect show. A 5 or 6 mistake show makes great impact because of the great shots you got. You're taking risks. You're trying to do the right thing. And eventually those risks will pay off. I tell new students working video board all the time, we expect you to not be good at your job at first. We don't expect you to not control the things you control. And the things you can control as a crew worker, is showing up on time, showing enthusiasm, helping others, having a positive attitude, asking questions to better yourself. You can control those things. You cannot control being a good camera operator. It takes time, it takes practice, and it's not for everybody. But control the things you can control. Make yourself a good employee with what decisions you make. And this is another topic for another time, but the decisions you make based on the tasks you're given, we all want you to succeed. Some people get camera work right away. Some people get it in 3 games. Some people never get it. But if you do all the other things that you can control right, you're going to succeed. Okay, that's it for this week. If you have any questions, text me, and I hope you enjoyed.